you need to understand is you've got to use the right tool. Whatever thing you're going to do, if you're going to do social media, if you're going to do video, if you're going to do email marketing, whatever that is, you need to use that right tool. And so that's really important to keep that in the back of your mind as you hear this conversation today is, what's the right tool that I need to use to execute whatever I want to do? So one of the tools that we use quite a bit, because we're partners with this organization, is Constant Contact. We've been partners with them for quite some time, and we use their tool to help our organizations and individuals, entrepreneurs, to help get their messaging out to their respective targeted audience. That's the tool we've come to use in terms of getting the messaging out. So some of the concepts that I'll talk to you about in terms of stories, that's sort of the tool that we'll be using. But our journey today is going to be somewhat high level. It's all about digital. But when I talk about the tool of Constant Contact, for those who aren't aware, Constant Contact really is a software company that helps small, medium, and sometimes large organizations with their online marketing communications, right? For those folks who don't know, that it's a software that can help you build, execute, and manage your digital campaigns, from email newsletters, announcements. You can do online polling and surveys, so you can survey your client base on a regular basis. You can also do promotions within your organization and dovetail it nicely with social media. And if you're putting on an event like this, or you do an event for a client base or your email campaign, so that automatically it'll start sending out some really, really good information. So it keeps your presence in the forefront. So I just wanted to showcase to you what they are and what they do. So our story begins very simply. The concept of marketing, from my perspective and your perspective, may be different. So we want to make sure that we're all on the same page today when it comes to marketing. So first thing I always say to people is, think of your online digital footprint as sort of a triangle. And in the middle of the triangle, we got something called Google. That's kind of the core of our triangle. And I said this to these folks this morning, when you write down your next digital campaign, think of it as a triangle. And I put it in order. The first thing you want to think about is my inbound marketing strategy. When people come to my website, what do I want them to do? You've got to make sure that when someone comes to your website, you tell them what to do. These days, websites are so advanced whereby now it's very minimal in terms of content, maximum in terms of lead generation. So we're finding these days one of the trends that are starting to happen are these things called digital ebooks. So people are writing these digital ebooks, and they can be 4-page. We're just finishing one that's literally 6 pages long. It's not much, but it's a digital ebook. So this person's now saying, hey, I got an ebook. Well, we're using it to generate the lead. So you come into a landing page, you read a little bit about what AJ offers. AJ's got these best tips about getting grants. Hey, I want that. Okay, you click in to get his ebook, you put information in, Bob's your uncle. That's your inbound marketing strategy. So you got to figure out, what is that for me moving forward as of today. Second point of that triangle is your outbound. What is that email campaign that you're going to do? If you are collecting information like today's networking session, there's a big one that's happening tomorrow night in Markham, there's one in Aurora, there's all these networking events that you're going and participating in. Hey, when I collect people's information and I ask them if they can join my mailing list, and they say, yeah, absolutely, Gary, I'm in. I want to hear about this cash flow, man. Yeah, I want to do, okay. So I collect their information, I put it into my outbound marketing strategy, and I create an automated system, a drip campaign. I call it setting it and forgetting it. So I take Gary's information, put it into this Constant Contact tool, and then create a drip campaign so that Gary literally sending me drip communications, let's say for the next month, about cash management. He's providing me with videos. So at least, and then eventually as that drip campaign finishes, Gary's going in for the close. Okay, why don't you come join us? We have a free offer, June, put this promote, so it becomes a drip campaign moving forward. And when it comes to outbound marketing, that's what I'm interested in. The last one is a two-way communication. What are you doing from a two-way communication for digital? Thank you, sir. Right? What is your two-way communication for digital? In other words, what's your social media strategy? For me, in my experience, social media is a two-way communication. It's a conversation you need to have, right? Social media really is not a place where you want to sell. Social media is a place where you want to have a two-way conversation and build that level of trust, build that level of expertise, right? And then you can do it in many, many ways. Certainly, there's all kinds that I've given you in terms of that. Second point, when it comes to marketing, the definition of marketing, so we're all clear, needs to really take on 3 thoughts. From my perspective, marketing is defined in 3 separate thoughts. Number 1, you define yourself an audience. Whatever audience that you would like to market to within your scope of your network, right? So you define yourself that audience. Second of all, once you define that audience, then you go and put up a communication piece that's very targeted to that audience, right? So the marketers would say, and Robin and I would say, this is segmentation. So now you're segmenting your data. The third one is you want to tell them what to do next. You want to give them a physical and a measurable response. So our friends at World Index did this. The physical measurable response was what? What was it that they were asking you to do? Anybody?
Register first.
Register, right? They're asking you to register. Did you say anything? No, don't touch my
I didn't say.
You can have some free candy. No, can I give you some? There you go. Have some free candy. Thanks, AJ. There you go, sir. Oh, thank you. Yeah, you're very welcome.
He's confused.
Yeah.
He hasn't taken it.
Yeah, a lot of people are very confused these days. I knew it. I knew it. And Rosetta, thank you for doing the intro. Awesome.
What do I want to?
It's free. Take whatever you want. So the thing is, you got to tell them what to do. And so the folks at World Index, perfect. They gave a physical measurable response. They told you to go register online. We all hit that button. We went to register online. They collected the information. There we go. Many people don't do that. Many people will give me some great content, and then I'm like, okay, now what? I'm like off the cliff. Now, what do you want me to do? Do you want me to call you? Do you want me to do, what do you want me to do? You got to, because you'll be amazed when it comes to digital communications and the digital presence, you'll be amazed that people are wanting you to tell them what to do next, right? So remember, marketing is define yourself an audience, get some content that's focused to that audience, and then do a physical measurable response. All right. 3, marketing has changed. So I'm trying to setting you up to these 4 pillars so we have a really good understanding of where we're going. Marketing clearly has changed. If you look at this funnel on the screen, it's pretty clear that the funnel is what? What is different about this funnel?
It's larger and then it's small.
Pardon me?
It's larger and then it's getting smaller.
Right, so it's larger here and it gets smaller here. So this is what we call traditional means of marketing. This is back in the day when we were spending thousands upon thousands of dollars on print, radio, television. We were doing the spray and pray tactic, right? We were just spraying and praying. God, I hope I just spent 20 grand. God, I hope, because Jennifer's going to kill me if I don't get one of these folks out of this, right? So it's the traditional spray and pray, okay? So look at the difference now. What's the difference now compared to the funnel? Gary, what do you think?
It's inverted.
It's inverted. So now, if I'm working with my good friend here, Gary, I'm saying, okay, instead of us going after the strangers, we're going to go after those customers. We're going to go after those raving fans of the Cash Management University?
Cash Flow Academy.
Cash Flow Academy. We're going to go after the Cash Flow Academy graduates or attendees. We're going to focus on them. So the difference now is, these days you're marketing to people that already know you. You're marketing people who have a understanding of what you do. So Gary's now going to the folks who've already attended, and he's converting them into salespeople. He's getting them to write about Cash Flow Academy, right? So that they're going to then share. Look at that. That's what happens. That's why at the bottom it's larger. Because they are then taking that information and sharing it with others. So the difference now is the finding and converting, you're actually using people who already know you and have had that experience. So the difference now is, instead of marketing to strangers, you're marketing people who already know you.
Your own ecosystem.
Your own ecosystem, right. So in other words, you're focusing on this. You're focusing what I call the other 99%. You are basically taking this piece of pie. Majority of people will say, yeah, about 90% of my business are repeat. Is that fair for the folks in the room? 90% or more are either repeat customers or word of mouth. Is that fair? One of the two is happening in some cases?
Yes.
Pardon me?
So I think it's a result of lack of marketing.
Right, but would you say that new people coming to Cash Flow Academy are usually from either word of mouth or repeat? One of the two?
Yeah.
Right? Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
Right, all of them? So we got 1% that's left. And here's the challenge, that everyone focuses on the 1%. Everyone is banging their head and focusing on the 1%. If I were you as the chief marketing officer, I would really focus hard on your 99%. Look at your 99% of people. What was your name again? Eva, right? Eva. Eva's the connector, right? So she's gonna be focusing on her 99% of people that she knows to connect us. She ain't going to find new people to connect us with, right? She's actually looking at her connections that she has, but she's doing that. She's doing her way of engagement marketing. Same idea, right? Before I say anything else, I don't want to pay you for your name. So here, this avoids royalty checks and stuff like that. Good concept.
He had a good trick or treat, I think, this guy.
Yeah.
He collected them all at trick or treat time.
Yeah. Didn't even remember me, right?
That's all, you knocked at my house and told you what.
Exactly, yeah.
So showed me the trick and he walked away.
That's right. Yeah, that's what you get from brown folks. That's it, exactly. So 99% is called engaged marketing. That's the reason our company's called Impression with an E and an M, because we focus on how do you engage with people who already know you. Don't spend the time, energy, and dollars, quite frankly, bang your head against the 1%. It doesn't make any sense. Digital will allow that to come naturally, okay? Now that we know that, let's look at our cycle. So we know marketing has changed, we know the funnel is flipped, we know that we need to now focus on the 99%, we know now we need to look at that strategy and go after and focus on what I call either brand ambassadors. Robin's got some raving fans. These are the folks we need to go after. These are the folks we need to do it. So with that said, let's look at how do we engage. What is our cycle when A, you've got a VIP client. I'm sure everyone in the room has some level of a VIP client. B, a brand newbie, someone who just joined or did a mortgage deal with you guys. Or C, someone who can constantly is saying, Jennifer, I want that magazine, put me on a subscriber list, right? So here's the cycle. Not that difficult, but I think, like I said to the financial planners this morning, you all can do the same thing. The number one thing is figure out what is that wow experience you're going to provide. What's that wow experience? Okay? So if that wow experience is something very simple like someone did a mortgage with you. Next day, you literally take a pen, open up a thing called a card, and you start writing. You actually start to write a thank you note, slip in a Tim Hortons card, thank them for the business, send it, and actually write on the envelope. You'd be amazed what people will. My kids go crazy when I say, hey kids, I think there's something in the mail. They run out and grab it, oh my God, they go nuts, right? But it's simple stuff. It works.
Yeah.
A couple weeks ago, I did about 6 prime clients, did thank you notes, sent them out. 2 of them I've gone to in-office meetings, and there's a thank you card on the shelf behind them. So I'm like, wow, that's so cool.
Okay, so the other wow experience, talk to them about what you do in your wow experience when you do the direct mail stuff.
Oh, when I do direct mail, I always try to encourage my clients to put in something like a piece of swag, I hate that term, but something like a magnifying business card or a foldable ruler or just some fun stuff, because people are 100% more likely to open that package if they feel that there's something in there or been rattled. They're going to open it. So to me, that's the wow experience in direct mail.
And you talk about bulky.
Yes,
You say
the
to me,
bulk and, yeah.
the bulk factor, right? And I do a direct mail piece, and what's this? I'm curious. Okay, I'm going to open it up. Whoa, what's this? And it's got Robin's information on it. So it's a wow experience. Again, I'm not suggesting at all to spend a lot of money on it, but it's just something simple, right? Simple stuff. So you need to figure out today, what is your wow experience, again, with your VIPs, with your, here this morning, talking to a financial planner we work for. We're going to actually do a VIP dinner in the middle of May, because there are 4 clients who have given him close to $4 million in the last 4 months. Okay? Not bad. We recognize the clients. We're asking to bring their others, so we got 8. And we're just right now figuring out what are the 3, we pick 3 really high-end restaurants downtown. That's what we want to do. He wants to just, if he spends $2,000, it doesn't matter. Look at what he's gotten back. So that's kind of the wow experience. Clients have no idea. Okay, then you've got to entice them to stay in touch. In the digital world these days, it's a mailing list. In the digital world these days, it's something that you say to the individual, look, in order to continue to stay in touch, why don't you join our mailing list, and we'll keep you abreast of what's going on at the academy, we'll provide you updates, that type of stuff. If I'm on the mailing list for Robin, right, and the promotional marketing company, hey, she's going to send me updates saying, hey, we just got this in. Cool. If I wasn't on the list, I would not know, right? And I know you've done that more than once, which is great. So you want to be able to find a way to entice them to stay in touch. Once you do that, the hard part, I think, is the content. How are you going to then keep them engaged? So content for me is defined in 3 areas. Content can be images, So it's called word images. So you got the image, you got some words above it, statements, phrases, video, and written, right? 500 words or less, not long form, short form content. So you figure out in a systematic way, okay, the month of May's coming, what types of content am I going to get out there that's going to keep my audience engaged? And this is that scenario that I mentioned before. This is where you can put people on a drip campaign. Set it and forget it, right? So every new subscriber to World Index magazine shows up, great, they join the mailing list, we put them on a drip campaign, they get God knows how many pieces of content, we forget it. Then they're getting it on an automated basis. That's something there, right, that you can do. The last part is social. I bring in social at the very end, because social at the very end will then help you with the news. That will help you get you in front of new people. Social for me, social for you is going to be very different. You need to determine one social channel that is going to work for you well. For the folks today in the morning, being all financial planners, Rosetta, you know this, highly compliant, their ability on LinkedIn is stronger than it is on Facebook or Twitter. They just, it's tough for them. So you need to figure out your social media visibility, or in this case, your social channel. One, you don't have to be on all 4, 5, 6, one. So right now, we, as a company, Impression, we're looking at Snapchat. We're looking at Snapchat, seeing what we can do using Snapchat. We know big companies are using it. We were just looking at Gatorade yesterday, they're on Snapchat. We were looking at General Electric, they're on Snapchat. Adidas is on Snapchat. So this thing about the younger generation, absolutely, but we're just looking at that as a way to engage more of our customers.
Excuse me,
that's your
can you
cycle.
explain what Snapchat
So Snapchat is another social media channel. Right now, it's very hot with the young ones.
Yes.
Very hot, right? Like young ones. But the cool thing about Snapchat is you can do video messages, you can do pictures, and when you receive it, it goes away, disappears. So it's there only for a time period, right?
You can store it.
No, once you open it up, it disappears. That's why the young ones love it, right? So if I Snapchat you, and I put a video saying, hey, Gary, I'm here in Newmarket, I'm waiting for you, you get it, you open it, that video disappears, Robbie can't see it. Because it's coming to you.
I thought my kids taught me how to say it. But anyway,
Can you then Snapchat back? Okay, I'll join.
Yes,
yeah, it's cool.
that's why the kids love it.
Yeah.
Or you can take a really funky photo, send it to your friend, and put a note on it.
Okay.
So that we're looking at.
So what's the minimum age that the kids enjoy?
I literally know of friends whose kids are 5 who are on Snapchat.
Yeah.
It's only my kids.
A lot of people my kids are between 13 and 22.
Same with mine, right?
And I've got 4 of them, and they're all on Snapchat, all the Netflix is on it. They got me on it, and they got me on a family thing, so I take a thing, I send it to them, I press the button, I pray like, that goes to the right person.
Yeah, right.
And they come back, and it's the picture tells 1,000 words, right? And the video does even better.
So Snapchat's model that they
Strong thing.
Yeah, what they've said Snapchat in their model is we're helping you capture whatever you're doing, the experience in time, right there, right there in that. So that's the cool thing. The other cool thing is you don't need Wi-Fi.
Yeah, that's what's
Oh, that's right.
So my son was Snapchatting on the plane, like, what are you doing? He goes, I'm like, whoa. And he goes, no, buzz, there's no Wi-Fi. I'm like, okay. And it was really cool. And Jacob, his best buddy, was Snapchatting back while on the plane, going to San Francisco, back and forth.
How do they do that, the radio, phone radio?
I have no idea.
It looks like your IM. It looks like your
You're the
IM.
engineer, huh?
You know your IM on your phone?
Yeah, the IM, yes.
So you just,
Is that how it is? Okay.
so it looks like your IM. It's the future because like my kids say, Dad, I don't even use it. It says Facebook's for you guys.
Yes.
Yeah.
You older guys.
So the average age, so just to dovetail, the average age, I just read this yesterday, the average age of Facebook users are what now? Let's take a wild guess. 45?
45.
55? 35? Keep going.
Even older.
You're close, you're probably the closest.
70?
I would say 60 maybe.
61 is the average age.
Oh,
We're sweet, we're
my
Okay? 61 is the average
Okay,
age.
I'm too young for that.
Right? Average age of Snapchat is 8. That's the average age.
Wow.
But more and more people are using phones and videos and that kind of
Yeah.
technology. As soon as you see people now, all they do is the first thing like they do,
Yeah.
the kids naturally just pick up their phones.
Yep.
I'm trying to figure out where my phone is. They figure it out.
But when you're on the plane,
You can do it.
there's no signal.
No, so that's the cool thing about Snapchat. You don't need
You
Wi-Fi.
see them.
Wow.
That's what I
Radio waves. Radio waves.
I was like,
Don't worry, it works.
Wow.
because, you know, I'm a pilot, so I'm a pilot, so I'm looking at it, and Adams also flies, and he's like, what? I'm like, I don't know, he goes, no, Papa, I get it, yeah, no, this is Snapchat. I'm like,
You're
You're not supposed to use your-
Snapchat,
your
just download it, it's
phone.
free.
Pardon me?
Yeah. You're not
No,
supposed
no,
to
you
use your
can't
phone.
have
Is it airplane mode off or on?
It's on, they don't know.
Here's a question I have. If you're talking about a generation coming up, starting at 8, that uses facile, quick communication tools like Snapchat, how do we engage them?
Yes.
The millennial group, how
Yes.
do we engage them and get them to become clients?
Yeah, so, was it today's Paper Globe or was it yesterday's Globe? It was today or yesterday, had a big article about now millennials.
More than baby booms.
Is that right? Was it today or yesterday?
Yeah.
That was an article there, right? So the question is how? The how is, if I were anyone, is I would go to where they hang out.
Oh, yeah.
So there's 3 ones I would suggest. Millennials hang out. Twitter, for sure.
Yep.
Snapchat, not really, because those are younger ones,
Yes.
right? Periscope now is becoming a hot thing,
Periscope.
right? Periscope is becoming a really hot social channel.
And please explain that.
So Periscope is a live feed where I can do this event. I could have my iPad in front of me on Periscope. I have to have Wi-Fi. And then I'm streaming my presentation to anyone who's on Periscope that moment connected with me wherever they are.
Ah,
Yeah, it's cool.
Now I can record it, but there's 2 other competitors of Periscope, Meerkat and Blab. So Meerkat, Meerkat, Meerkat is it's like Periscope to another level, and Blab is also another tool, very much like Periscope, but you can record them, and then you can save them.
That's really video sharing,
That's exactly,
which is what,
Yeah.
yeah, we've been doing that,
That's
so it's
exactly.
really good.
right?
Yeah.
So it's taken that whole, remember the day of video conferencing, oh wow, this is cool?
Yeah.
It's taken it to like the nth level.
So actually now what you're saying is that marketing going forward is going to be tied to streaming and your ability to stream whatever you talk about, whatever you
Exactly.
present
Yeah.
to a wide
I'll
audience.
tell you right now, the secret sauce for content, the more content you can provide that's quote unquote, they call it behind the scene content, is the one people are looking for. So if you're Robin's very heavily involved in our community, the South Lake, right? So she did a South Lake run. So boy, people go crazy if they could see what's behind the scenes at the South Lake run, when they're setting things up, when they're putting the big banners up, and they're sharing this on experiential marketing at that moment.
Yes.
That's what people love consuming, right? That's the key is, it's 3 things. 1, it's experiential marketing. 2, it's marketing right there, real time.
Okay.
And 3, what now is becoming more popular is what they're calling influential marketing. So for instance, if I can connect with Robin, I'm not picking on her, but she's very known in our community.
Yeah.
If I can connect with Robin and she becomes she's an influencer in the community and she starts to share our information, that's influential marketing.
Okay.
That's becoming another big topic, right?
So that's replacing centers of influence?
This is taking it to that next level. So this is taking Robin's thousands of Twitter community folks and leveraging that with her in partnership.
It's the same concept that advertisers on TV take a brand person, you know, and leveraging off that brand person.
That's what we're doing. Digital. We're using digital.
It's like old-fashioned word of mouth.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're just using your influence.
Yeah.
Using digital to get
Yeah.
away.
And we're
I
using
like
your
your
influence.
influence. I like your influence.
Yeah, okay. Everyone likes
We
my.
share on Twitter.
Yeah, we do. So in a nutshell, people say, well, give me the bullets. What's the thing? So for me, and for us to understand, in a nutshell, it's 3 things. We need to figure out, as your own business, respective business, how am I, nurturing relationships? It's all about nurturing relationships. It's not to sell, folks. The sell's gonna naturally come. People like and trust you, it'll come.
Yes.
It'll happen. It may happen quicker than later, but it may come, right? And I say it may not. If you drop the ball when you have that meeting with them, it may not happen.
Yeah.
Okay? 2, got to deliver on your promise. If you are going to, and this is regardless if it's at a networking event or online, if you're going to say, I'm going to add you to my mailing list, and every month you're going to get X, deliver on the promise. And number 3, got to find a way to measure it. If it's not working, stop. If it's working, keep going, right? Now, the thing with digital and just that whole world, it's going to take some time. And people ask me, how long should we look at some timeline for results? Give yourself minimum 6 months. You got to give yourself that. In some cases, it doesn't happen overnight. In some cases, it takes some time. The only reason I say 6 months is because I've given you at least a good 3 months to plan and strategize this stuff. You know, Robin knows this, she's done this before with bigger organizations, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, strategy,
Yeah.
messaging, placing,
A couple of years.
right?
sometimes. Yeah.
You work with like big
Mhm.
trucking companies and
Yeah,
manufacturers.
transports, RBC.
Yeah, right. So here are the 4 pillars. Now that we kind of know that world, let's talk about what are these 4 pillars, right? Let's figure out what are the 4 pillars. Now, I suggest when you see these pillars, in your mind, pick one that you hear that resonates with you, of each category. And I'm suggesting to you, if you pick one, give yourself a 3-month period from today, 3 months forward, with that one thing you're going to pick. Okay? So, in order. And this is, I remember using this at Manulife when I was with the Raptors. Very similar pillar, but it was a little different, right? So the first pillar is very simple. We got to generate some awareness for people. People got to get found. We got to figure out how do we get you all found? How do we get that World Index magazine that he does and all the services he provides? How do we get them online? So we got to generate the awareness. Once we figure that out with AJ, then we say, okay, we've done that. Hey AJ, we got to start nurturing. Now we got to start to engage and nurture. And that's where ebooks come in, that's where landing pages come in, that's where content comes in, video, images, right? Third, we got to generate some campaigns, drip campaigns, hey, welcoming notes, what's that whole process, right? It's about a process. And Jennifer comes walking into the room and says, okay, is this stuff working? Oh, yeah, right. We got to figure out how we're going to manage the analytics. What are certain things we're going to look at from an analytical standpoint that we can say to the Garys and the Jennifer saying, yeah, here's the data that proves this stuff is working. Hey Jennifer, we put that video out, holy moly, went through the roof. Video seems to be the thing that maybe we may want to work. Gary, we did that whole thing on X. Look at this, people want to hear from you. We may want to do more of that, right? You got to figure things out. So if I break it down, you just pick one. If I break it down, if I look at this category, generating awareness for Rosetta Springer, I'm going to say to her, okay, let's look at least one thing that I've suggested here. I'm not saying this is the end all be all, but these probably are the big players, right? So if I'm looking at Rosetta and saying, how am I going to generate the awareness, maybe I say, well, why don't we look at social media? And in this case, social media specifically could be because she's in that whole world of financial strategy, that could be LinkedIn. We could say, why don't we look at your LinkedIn, spend at least a good month and really vamp this thing to the nth degree. So when someone says, hey, who's Rosetta? Or they meet Rosetta at a networking event like this, goes online, her name shows up, there's a solid profile that she's got top to bottom, right? That could be one thing. Maybe your website's due, average life of a website is about 3 to 5 years. Maybe it's way overdue. That's the average life, right? So we look at the website and see how that goes. So that's one thing. You figure out, you circle what one thing is there. Once you figure that out, okay, how are we going to nurture? What's our nurturing strategy? So how are we going to nurture people? How are we going to do the engagement? Remember that engagement marketing cycle? How are we going to change that? What's our engagement marketing cycle? What's that wow experience that Robin shared, right? Jill, you do that quite a bit. Jill gets a referral. I remember getting a card from Jill with a second cup thing. It's like for $100. I couldn't believe it. It was crazy, right? But she put a card and the kids were like, oh, you got something in the mail. I'm like, really? And they were freaking out and they opened it and it was Jill's card. They were like, oh my God, look, you got, oh wow, this is, but that's the experience. So you need to figure out what is your engaged marketing experience. Then grow your list. That's where the money is, right? That's where the money is. You can start growing your list and start getting in front of eyeballs on a regular basis. That's where the real money happens. Because I can tell you right now, we're in conversations with an organization we've put together an entire sponsorship program. And the number one thing we focused on was the amount of people she's in front of. And so we're having those conversations. Robin, you know the stuff because you've dealt with RBCs, and these days they're looking for that from a digital standpoint, right? Do you have anything to add to that, Robin?
No, I think what you're saying is right on.
Okay.
Right on.
And then don't forget, if you are building your list, it's got to be compliant with CASL, with the anti-spam legislation. Make sure you're using that right tool. Constant Contact's got a really good tool because it's compliant with the anti-spam legislation. Make sure when you go to networking events and you do get a business card, you are explicitly asking them, can I add this information to my mailing list? If they say absolutely, if they say no, okay, well, give them a smack and leave, right? But you need to make sure you get their consent. And it can be verbal. I could verbally say, Jill, can I add you? Jill can say yay or nay. But Jill knows in the back of her mind, according to the anti-spam legislation, that if it's garbage and it's not really what she was expecting, she can unsubscribe. So recently there was a company who just got fined, I'm going to even say 3 days ago.
Wow.
I think it's $1.1 million because they couldn't find the unsubscribe area.
Oh,
Wow.
subscribe button, yeah.
Is this a company we know?
Yes, I'm trying to remember the name. Yes, it is an HR management company. What is the name?
Hewitt?
They disclosed the name. I think they're based in Montreal.
Oh my.
If you Google them, you will see, it just came out a couple of days ago. Jill?
Just for getting people on email list, I use Constant Contact with Javed Khan, it's a fabulous tool. Even I can use it and I hate IT. Works really well. I have an email list. I've built it up to 400 now, which is great.
So what did you start with?
I don't even know.
Approximately 20, 30,
Yeah, maybe.
40?
Maybe.
40, let's say
So-
40?
Yeah, I mean, maybe 10,
10? And now you're at?
400.
That's where the money is. Right?
Yeah, so when I ask people, I don't say, do you want to be on my email list? I say, if I met you today and we had a great conversation, at the end of the conversation, I would say, would you like to receive networking referral tips once a month from me? Everybody says yes.
There you go.
Nobody said no.
There you
It's not, do you want to be on my email list? It's, do you want to receive referral tips? And like,
Okay, so you notice one thing she said. Anyone heard of Simon Sinek? If you've heard of Simon, or if you have not heard of Simon Sinek, and S-I-N-E-K, look him up. He's got a brilliant 9 and some minutes video. It's called What's Your Why? Have you heard of it? And the book is brilliant. He wrote a book called Start With Your Why. I read it like 5 times now. And Jill hit it right there. She's given the why. Wait a minute, you want to join the mailing list? What's Jill's why? She's going to be providing networking tips. Well, yeah, why would I say no? Hey, I'm going to add you to my mailing list so I can share with you some really some cash flow issues and tips. Why would I say no? Yeah, okay, I'm in. And I'm sure Jill would get that one grace if she says, hey, look, I'm at this networking event as part of her communication. Come and join me. People would appreciate
yes.
that, right?
Yeah.
People appreciate that.
Yeah.
Then she's not selling, she's doing that
Could
relationship.
you explain why it is that I get at least 5 business coaches, people sending me emails? I cannot tell you how many. I wonder how are they finding me?
Yeah, so according to the Kenneth, so here's the stickler. I'm gonna be the bearer of bad news for you.
Oh, God.
Yes. Rosetta, my dear Rosetta. Is your name anywhere on your website?
Yes,
Is your email on your website?
yes.
Do you have a disclaimer on that website saying, please do not send me any commercial electronic messages according to the da-da-da? That's why. So according to the Canada Anti-Spam legislation, if I find anyone's information on a website, I'm not a lawyer, but I've been around enough of these schmucks, it's considered public domain, right? It's considered a public thing. However, right, that's right. However, if after today you go to your website person and say, hey, put the disclaimer at the top,
Yeah, okay.
and they still do that,
Yeah.
then they are against the anti-spam legislation.
Okay.
So right now, it's pretty much game for anyone in this room. If your information's there and you haven't put a disclaimer, you're game.
Okay.
Okay? Once you put that disclaimer, you'll notice now some of the banks are putting those disclaimers near the bottom. The smarter ones kind of put at the top, but there's a disclaimer there in nice and fine print that the legal folks have put together that's indicate, look, you can get AJ's information, but if you use it for this, this, and this, and this, you are non-compliant with the Canada. They actually spell it out for you.
What about the US ones?
So US is can spam.
Okay,
So the anti-spam legislation only applies to stuff coming into Canada.
okay.
So if I'm in the United States and I'm communicating to AJ from San Francisco, I'm against Canada. I've got to comply to the
Okay.
Canada anti-spam legislation.
Oh,
If it's versus, I've had people say, well, we don't deal with that and we go to the United States. I said, well, you don't have to worry about Castle, you need to worry about the can spam. I can tell you right now, Castle is certainly it's got bigger jaw teeth than can spam is double
Yeah.
off, did triple off.
Castle is the US?
Castle's Canada.
Yes.
Can spam is the US. Yeah. Okay? All right, so let's talk about, yeah.
One thing, if I get those emails like you're talking about, they're unsolicited and I didn't give people permission, even if I know them and I'm not interested in their business, and I unsubscribe and they ask you why, you know how to box and say why, I always put in there, I did not ask to be on this list.
There you go.
I kind of spell it out for them.
Yep.
You're not really supposed to be doing
Yep.
it. In a nice way.
Yep.
Or useless information. I put that too.
Do you?
Right.
That's more aggressive, but you go with that.
Well, it's like, you used to know, and I'm like, give them a chance, and I'm like being honest, and this really isn't useful to
o'clock.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this
At
is
8
just-
o'clock today, I looked at my email, there were 20 emails.
Wow,
Yeah.
20
I don't get that
emails
in.
Yeah.
from consultants,
Oh,
wow.
trainers.
Wow.
I do travel planning, so I have a travel website also.
Right.
So it must be from that. I mean,
Yeah.
and I'm looking at them and I'm saying, how on earth are you finding me?
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And I'm
That's
just
what we're
going
doing.
delete,
But that
delete,
was-
delete.
Yeah,
That's
that-
it.
Yeah.
You might want to unsubscribe though, right? Wouldn't it
Yeah,
be
just
worth
unsubscribe.
Yeah, it's probably.
I always
Yeah.
unsubscribe. If I see it, I unsubscribe. Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we figured out awareness, we figured out the nurturing, then we're going to determine our campaigns. What are those campaigns? They can be 3 types. They can be drip campaigns, they can be, so drip campaigns number 1, they can be campaigns that are monthly, like newsletters, and they can be campaigns that are very, very specific, time-sensitive, targeted ones. So an example could be, in your case, something very specific comes out in the mortgage business, not mortgage rates. Remember I said, I don't want to know about your mortgage rates. But something big comes out in the mortgage. Exactly, right?
Yeah.
It's very time sensitive. You put that together, that's a campaign you drill right to your audience, right away, because now you become like that expert. Oh, wow. You're bringing that information all the time, so they're looking at you as the expert in terms of information. So figure out your type of campaign. Again, in this chart, you circle 1 and give yourself 3 months at least to get 1 of these going, right? Just circle 1. Once you figure out the campaigns, then as I mentioned, you need to figure out how we're going to manage this. What are the analytics? Okay? So what are analytics in terms of email? What are analytics in terms of ebooks, lead generation? Figure out the analytics, and at the end of the day, you've got yourself a map that is going to get you some level of digital footprint for the next few years, because this is going to take some time. You can look at one of those social media thing, that could take you 3 to 6 months to get something that you really want to move. If it's LinkedIn, that's a whole world in itself, right? So when you get the slide deck, take this and look at where either there's a gap or where do you want to take it to that next level. And you certainly need some assistance. You know, we all are kind of knowing each other, talk amongst yourselves either online or give anyone a call. You can give me a call and we can have those conversations, right? But you look at that chart. So here's some next steps. I just want everyone in the room to try one of these 4 ideas. Try one. You all met each other at this group. Maybe you send everyone that you meet today a thank you card, or maybe a quick Outlook thank you note, extending the conversation over a coffee. I know I'm going to do that with some folks today myself, right? If it's not one of those, I'm giving you all kinds of others that you can figure out that you want to be able to do today. Just pick one. I'm not asking for the world. Just give yourself one for at least the next week. 1 week is enough to do one of these, okay? Could be a welcome card.